President Trump promising severe punishment if it turns out Saudi Arabia killed Washington Post contributor and U.S. resident Jamal Khashoggi. But that punishment would not include, he says, canceling a multi-billion-dollar arms deal currently in the works. Here was the president speaking just last hour during an event to celebrate the release of an American pastor held by Turkey.
As of this moment, nobody knows what happened. As of this moment, we're looking into it very seriously. Turkey is looking into it at a very high level, at the highest level. And so is Saudi Arabia. I mean, they're going to get back, and they have been getting back. And I know Mike's been dealing with them. John's been dealing with them. But in terms of the order of $110 billion, think of that, $110 billion, all they're going to do is give it to other countries. And I think that would be very foolish for our country. But there are other things we can do that will be very severe. At this point, it's looking like he perhaps won't be or isn't around, and that's very sad. I think we would have known by now. That was our first hope. Our first hope was that he was not killed. But maybe that's not looking too good, right? From what we're hearing.
A lot still to learn, I think, Mr. President.
But there's a lot to learn.
Khashoggi, a critic of the Saudi regime, has not been seen since October 2nd when he walked into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to obtain paperwork that would allow him to marry his Turkish fiancée. Now, Saudi Arabia has denied any involvement in his disappearance, but a Turkish newspaper is now reporting that Khashoggi's Apple Watch recorded evidence of his murder. We'll have more on that in just a moment, but first I want to bring in CNN's international diplomatic editor, Nick Robertson, who's been all over the latest developments on this story. And Nick, the president now vowing severe punishment, but with conditions, with limitations, saying he won't cancel that arms deal. So what are the Saudis likely to take away from this?
Well, I think if we try to examine a little bit, first of all, the likelihood of the Saudis rushing off to buy weapons from China and Russia. Of course, they sell weapons that the Saudis could use, but the Saudis have been buying the massive preponderance, main portion of their armaments, and they've really scaled up their purchases over the past half decade from the United States. So that arrangement is very deeply ingrained, and it goes back beyond this current Saudi administration under King Salman and his son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So what does Mohammed bin Salman take away from President Trump's statement? Well, it seemed, I would say, he would take away that he still has some wiggle room here, that there still is a relationship between them. Perhaps he is worried about what those other strictures might be that President Trump talks about. But, you know, from Mohammed bin Salman's position right now, it has been on a trajectory of trying to gain and hold power in the kingdom, and his biggest worry right now would be that whatever the United States might do, it might undermine his grip on power in the country, which has really been very singular and different to what we've seen under past Saudi kings who rule more by a council of advisors. Mohammed bin Salman doesn't do that. So his takeaway would be, how much is this going to personally affect my power in the country?
Meantime, I mean, the dynamic here is very interesting. Can the U.S. trust that Turkey is being honest about what they say happened, given the regional dynamics and the possible geopolitical motivations involved?
Yeah, and this is a really great question because, of course, you know, Turkey, a NATO member, but buying weapon systems itself from Russia, close to Iran on some issues. It's against the United States' position in Syria. United States backs the Kurds there to the Turkish here, you know, whose part of their population is Kurdish. They see some of them, some of them based in Syria as terrorists. So there's real differences of opinion there. So sure, Erdogan would like to have the United States more aligned behind him than it is behind Saudi Arabia. But when intelligence agencies make their calculations of evidence put forward, and we know that these tapes, these recordings, audio, visual, whatever they are, apparently from inside the consulate, are shown to partner intelligence agencies, including the United States. President Trump has said that, you know, essentially he hopes to be seeing them soon. The intelligence agencies that analyze this have their calculations and knowledge about what Turkey's bigger geostrategic aims are, kind of baked into their calculations when they work out how much faith can we put in this material. Is it possible that it's been cooked up? I think these things are all part of that calculation, and it seems from what we're hearing from the agencies that have seen this material in Europe and the United States, that they're inclined to believe it. So I think the calculation is that whatever it is the Turks have, it seems to have strong roots. Hannah?
All right, Nick Robertson, thank you for your continued reporting on this. Now back to that Turkish report that Khashoggi's watch may have recorded evidence of his death. As intriguing as this theory sounds, tech experts are casting doubt on it. CNN's Becky Anderson explains why.
Here in Turkey, an Apple Watch like this can't connect to the internet all by itself, and that is important. Have a look at this. We record here 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bang. Save it. And that comes up on this straight away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now take the phone away, and even though we record, nothing happens. And that's just as Apple itself describes the technology on its website. And that is all important because we know Jamal didn't have his main iPhone on him. He'd left it outside with his fiancée. So there are three main possibilities. One, his watch could have stayed linked to his iPhone outside through Bluetooth, but that is really unlikely, experts tell CNN, because they would have been too far apart. Two, he could have another phone synced up in his pocket, for example. There's no indication of that, however. Option three, Khashoggi was logged onto the consulate's Wi-Fi, but for someone in self-imposed exile, connecting to a Wi-Fi connection from that country's consulate wouldn't be smart. A major cybersecurity risk. So, are any of these possible? Yes, but they are all extremely unlikely.
Becky Anderson for us. Thank you.